Well, good Sunday morning and welcome to another edition of At Issue. I'm Corey Smith.
And I'm Sue O'Connell. I know many of you thought the Boston City Council needed a shakeup, and that's precisely what we got. In just a minute, two of the fresh new faces joining that body. They're going to join us and tell us what they hope to accomplish.
But first, let's take a look back at what was at issue over the last week.
Donald Trump testified today in his own civil fraud trial. At one point, actually, Trump's lawyers were told to, quote, control him.
Today was best described as a contentious environment in the Manhattan courtroom. He sidestepped questions, was quick to dismiss the proceedings as politically motivated, and attacked the Attorney General's office as, quote, haters.
Meanwhile, President Biden seems to be losing support among voters in several key swing states. A New York Times Siena College poll shows Biden trailing former President Donald Trump in 5 of 6 surveyed states.
The MBTA announcing a plan to repair tracks and lift all speed restrictions, but heads up, this is not going to happen anytime soon.
Vice President Harris was in Boston to talk union. She discussed labor issues at the pipe fitters local 537.
Concerns sweeping the Commonwealth this morning as our emergency shelters reach their limit.
Well, starting today, incoming migrants will have to join a wait list. Governor Maura Healey's office says they will not announce her out-of-state travel due to security concerns.
Another election day has come and gone, and once again, voters here in Boston and many across the country made their voices heard.
All right, we're going to pick it up right there with the Boston City Council elections. The last 2 years have been filled with a little bit of drama, a little bit of federal lawsuits, some criminal charges, ethical violations, even some fistfights in the council chamber.
Is that it?
Well, I could go on.
That's all you got? Some of the councilors caught up in the middle of all that mess are going to be leaving city government in January. Their replacements were voted in last Tuesday. John Fitzgerald will represent District 3, which is mostly Dorchester. He takes over for Frank Baker, who chose not to run for re-election. Enrique Pepin defeated Ricardo Arroyo in the preliminary and won the District 5 seat, which includes parts of Roslindale, Jamaica Plain, and Hyde Park. Ben Weber going to take over for Kendra Lara in District 6, representing parts of Jamaica Plain and West Roxbury. And Henry Santana won an at-large seat, replacing Michael Flaherty, who also walked away from the council.
And joining us are two of those councilors, elect Ben Weber and Henry Santana. Congratulations to both of you. Welcome. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks a lot.
Good.
Thanks for having us.
Good.
Great. No, thank you for having us.
All right. So you guys were out on the campaign trail. What did you hear from voters about what they want from their Boston City Council? Ben, start with you.
Well, across Jamaica Plain and West Roxbury, I think people wanted a city council that they felt were providing the kinds of services, constituent services that they needed, and a city council that, they could be proud of and felt like was representing them in City Hall.
How about you, Henry? You're representing the whole city, not just a district.
Yeah, I think, residents across the city of Boston were ready for a fresh voice, a young voice on the city council who's dedicated their life to city services and a hard worker. And I'm proud to bring that onto the city council.
What do you hope to accomplish in your term?
Yeah, as someone who ran on being representative of the next generation, I really care about housing affordability. I really care about our Boston public schools, public safety, and making sure that we're prioritizing our environment when we're looking into the future of the city.
And how about you, Ben? What's on your agenda?
Well, first on my agenda is assembling a great staff and trying to figure out the best way we can provide the services that people need in the community. And so that's what I'm going to be focused on when I first take office.
Mm-hmm. So fresh faces, but some old problems. You mentioned the housing crisis already. There's a situation at Mass and Cass and this ongoing migrant crisis. As we heard in the Weekend Review, Massachusetts has reached its 7,500 family cap. Are those the most pressing issues for you right now? And how do you think you will be involved in the conversation to address them with your fellow council colleagues?
Yeah, I hope that the City Council can provide a kind of unified voice to advocate. We have a crisis here with migrant families coming in. We've reached the limit, already on shelters, and we need to make sure that the services and the resources are in place for those kinds of families. And we also need to figure out how to help people on Mass and Cass. And so, I do think those are public health crises that we need to tackle.
Would you rank those in sort of the higher priorities for the council as you guys move in?
Absolutely, and I think it's going to take a collaborative effort. Someone who really wants to work with everyone on the city council. As a Dominican immigrant, I'm from Dominican Republic. Our migrants are very important to me and personal to me. I want to make sure that I'm working with not just the city council, not only the administration, but also government leaders to address this issue.
On the Mass and Cass question, which is something squarely in the council's purview, we know that the area has been swept. Before it was swept, police had to offer those folks out there help. transportation to shelters. Was that the right approach as you all were watching this unfold before you were elected? Let's be honest about that. But do you think that was the right approach to just sweep these camps and try to get these folks the help that they need?
Yeah, I think we needed to use all the tools we have at our disposal to help the people on Massancast get into shelters, get the access to the services that they need. And so I think, we had waited long enough for it to resolve, with less sort of intensive efforts. And so I'm in favor of the actions taken by the council and the mayor.
Was this the right approach in your mind, Henry?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing down in Massancast is a public health issue, a housing issue, and we need to really act with urgency. I'm glad to see the council act with urgency on this issue, and looking forward to really being collaborative and making sure that we're getting the services to the people on the streets.
All right. When the election finished on Tuesday, Councilor Ruth Z. Louis-Jean was the top vote getter in that election for the at-large councilors. 2 days later, she announced that she has enough support to become the next city council president. Have you both supported her, Henry?
Yeah, so I'm glad to have had the endorsement of at-large Ruth Louis-Jean on my campaign, and she's been a tremendous leader over the last 2 years on the city council, and I'm very proud and looking forward to joining her on the city council as the president to lead us over the next 2 years.
And Ben, did she ask you for your vote, and you're going to give it to her?
Yeah, she did ask me. I am giving it to her. I think it's a no-brainer. She's somebody who went to BLS, Columbia, Harvard Law School, somebody who's led very, very effectively on the city council the last couple of years, and I'm proud to support her for council president.
We've heard a lot about sort of the personal animosity among this professional body, and I got to think even this potential vote for president might be a place where we do see some more animosity. As two newbies to the group, do you guys come in and give everybody a clean slate? I know you've been paying attention, though, or do you have some reservations about maybe working with some of your colleagues?
I don't have any reservations. I've been working as an attorney for 18 years, and I've been in adversarial situations that whole time. And even if I'm not going to agree with someone, I know I can work with them and try to find a solution. It's not about me and another councilor. It's about the people of the city of Boston, and I look forward to working with everyone on the council.
Same question for you, Henry.
Yeah, I have zero reservations. I have a working relationship with every single city councilor, having been a former city council aide and having been part of Mayor Wu's administration. I'm looking forward to collaborating with every single city councilor to really prioritize all residents in the city of Boston.
Have you both met every city council member that you're going to be serving with?
I have not met all the city councilors. As someone who hasn't worked in city government and was not on the council, I spent, had to get through a preliminary, get through a final. I didn't know if I was going to succeed or not. So I have met several of the city councilors and sat down with them and talked to them on the phone through the election process. But I haven't met with everyone.
Do you have some new people to meet as well?
No, I actually know every single city councilor, and happy to have a working relationship with everyone.
All right, so a lot of people you did meet were people on the campaign trail. Do you have a moment that really surprised you while you were out meeting people, or a moment that will really stay with you as you go through your career here in public service?
Yeah, I think, there were so many great moments on the campaign. I started in April, and there was many months of campaigning. I think, being able to be across all different neighborhoods and really learning the stories of our most vulnerable residents, being on the ground. But I think, really being with youth and with our teens, especially in Mission Hill, where I grew up, and making sure that they were addressing and, communicating their issues were one of the high moments for me in that campaign.
Ben?
Yeah, it was definitely a wonderful process for me, and getting to meet so many people across the district. This is primarily Jamaica Plain and West Roxbury, and people think about those neighborhoods as being very different. I had one day where I start off the day at the Mildred Haley Apartments in Jackson Square. People were telling me how hard it was to afford to live in Boston. And I ended the day in West Roxbury talking to people who said, we can't afford to pay the rent here. We've lived here our whole lives. We're having trouble meeting housing costs. And so there's so much common ground between people in different neighborhoods that I'm really looking forward to working with everyone.
All right, Ben Weber, Henry Santana, thank you so much, and best of luck to you as you step into the Boston City Council. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, turning to the presidential race now. We'll learn this week, finally, maybe, when the New Hampshire primary is going to be held. The Secretary of State will announce that date on Wednesday.
Meantime, last Wednesday, 5 Republican candidates gathered for their third debate. Once again, former President Trump didn't take part, but our Matt Pritchard did. He was in Miami to cover it.
A fast and fiery start.
Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
First, like to say they're 5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them.
The former UN ambassador Nikki Haley fending off attacks after surging into second in multiple early voting states. Vivek Ramaswamy polling at 4% in Iowa and New Hampshire and calling out GOP leadership.
Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you.
His remarks touching on Republican defeats on election night, including Ohio voters codifying abortion in their state constitution, becoming the latest red state to do so.
There are some states that are going more on the pro-life side. I welcome that. There are some states that are going more on the pro-choice side. I wish that wasn't the case, but the people decided.
Well, I'm 100% pro-life. I have had 100% pro-life voting record. I would certainly, as President of the United States, have a 15-week national limit.
Now, following those jabs, attention turning to the Israel-Hamas war.
Hamas should release every hostage, and they should unconditionally surrender. I'm sick of hearing the media, I'm sick of hearing other people blame Israel just for defending itself.
Addressing funding for Ukraine.
Let's remember the last time that we turned our back on a shooting war in Europe. It bought us just a couple of years. And then 500,000 Americans were killed in Europe to defeat Hitler.
Pivoting to U.S. Navy needs and defending Taiwan.
We're going to get to 355 ships at the end of the first term, 385 ships at the end of the second term, but we're going to have a path to 600 ships over the next 20 years.
And so the next GOP presidential debate, December 6th, the candidates will have to meet even more fierce fundraising and poll requirements to make it back onto that stage. Corey, Sue?
It's good to have you back from Miami. You look tan.
Thank you. Appreciate
You look nice. You were down there. I guess what stood out to me, and we talked about this a little bit on the podcast last week, were two things. The abortion discussion and then the Israel-Hamas / Iran discussion. I watched and was thinking to myself, are we going to war on the first day of a Haley or DeSantis administration? Because that's what it seemed like to me. Did you get that sense just watching that they were going to be that hawkish?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seemed like every single candidate was talking about the need to stand with Israel and in any way, shape, or form that's needed at this point. You mentioned there each candidate being very hawkish about that situation. I think we saw substance in this debate because of issues just like that, because of the fact that so many issues have come up since the second debate into the third debate. And so we heard more substance. We heard more about the issues from the different candidates than I think we had heard in previous debates.
You know, I feel a little silly asking this after Donald Trump was elected, but at this point, they're also supposed to start appearing presidential, right? They have to look like someone who can sit in the Oval Office and make those decisions. Did the candidates start reaching that level?
I think a few of them did. I think Nikki Haley started to sort of separate herself into that camp. And even moments with Chris Christie, I think, stood out and had that sort of presidential air to them. But then you have candidates like Vivek Ramaswamy, where it felt like he was just trying to throw jabs and bring relevancy back to his campaign. And so each candidate is taking a different stance as they go through this process. But the cream, I think, is beginning to rise to the top. The only problem is they're all still chasing Donald Trump.
One thing we didn't hear about that we were expecting to hear about until the Tuesday elections happened were the polling from New York Times that showed former President Trump ahead of President Biden in 5 of 6 swing states. But then on Tuesday, you saw what happened in Ohio, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Kentucky. And the candidates were asked about that. What did you make of how they were able to square all the Democratic wins on Tuesday, the day before the debate, with where they want to take the country?
Yeah, I mean, I think you heard from them that they are all tired of losing. They feel like the Republican Party has sort of been on this track. Some went ultra fierce with it, again, going back to Vivek, talking about Ronna McDaniel and saying that she has just brought loss after loss to the GOP. Others just mentioning we need to start talking about these topics in a more of a compromise area. Nikki Haley talking about abortion and using different terminology than we've heard from the Republican Republican Party in the past. And so, to your point, I think they're starting to sort of shift the conversation more towards compromise and realizing that's the only way they're going to be winning elections.
All right, Matt, thanks for the insight. Thanks for putting in the miles for us.
Of course.
Always appreciate it. Of course, you can hear more of the conversation surrounding the debate and those elections from last week on this week's episode of Taking Issue. It is available now wherever you get your podcasts. Up next on this...
Make the holidays. During the Genesis Signature event, lease the GV60 for $439 per month, exclusively at your New England Genesis retailers.
You're watching NBC 10 Boston. News worthy of you.
Yesterday, the nation honored all veterans of the uniformed services who served or are still serving during Veterans Day ceremonies.
Massachusetts actually just wrapped up its first ever Veterans Week. And joining us to talk about that and so much more is Jon Santiago. He is, of course, Secretary of the Executive Office of Veterans Services, the first cabinet-level Veterans Secretary. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, thank you for your continued service. We do appreciate it. Let's start there. You were just recently deployed. What can you tell us about that? And what do you take from every deployment when you get back into the office?
Well, thank you for having me. I've been in the Army Reserve for about 10 years, been deployed twice. Most recently, just got back from Syria a little less than a year ago.
Okay. What do you take from those experiences that really helps you kind of do your jobs, because you are dealing with veterans every single day?
A variety of things. Really, it is a privilege to serve in the armed forces, particularly as a physician caring for our soldiers, whether it's in the emergency room or if they're having mental health issues. They come to me looking for support, and I do my best to serve them. But when I come back home as a veteran, there's a place of support, I have a job to come back to. That's not always the case with veterans. So in this new capacity, I'm dead set focused on supporting those veterans transitioning back, or veterans that may have been back for a while but need the support.
Last week, your office announced some proposed changes to benefits for veterans in legislation that you're sending to lawmakers. What are the issues that you're hoping to address with that proposal and these changes?
We're incredibly excited about this proposal. Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll have invested more than any other governor in recent memory when it comes to veteran services, and really leading with a once-in-a-generation legislative package, really focused on three main things. One of which is, how do we expand benefits for veterans? Number two, how do we make sure we keep our commitment to inclusivity in the veteran community? And how do we modernize those services?
Your office was created for many reasons, again, cabinet-level secretary, but one of the big ones was the deadly COVID outbreaks that happened at the Soldiers' Home in Holyoke and the Veterans Home at Chelsea. We know a new facility at Holyoke under construction, some veterans already moving in to Chelsea. Are you happy with what you're seeing thus far in the early stages, and especially moving forward as of course, we hope to never see such an incident happen at any Soldiers' Home? You are absolutely right, Corey. What happened at Holyoke and Chelsea was tragic for the families, for the staff, for everyone involved. And although we can't change the past, we can shape the future. That's what we're committed to doing. We secured the federal funding to build a brand new home in Holyoke. It's a $500 million project. In Chelsea, we just opened up that building a couple of weeks ago. The first veterans moved in. Tears were shared with veterans, families, and staff. And so better days are ahead at both Massachusetts veteran homes. What sort of services, any new services that are going to be offered at Chelsea and Holyoke compared to what were there before? Well, if you were just to go to Chelsea and check out the building, just the physical manifestation of it, it's just amazing. Not only is it 100% fossil free, it has a variety of services to support these veterans. They have their own units. It's an incredible building. I think as a healthcare professional myself, it is the most spectacular healthcare associated building I've ever been around. So obviously the challenges of housing are impacting everybody, all sorts of folks, but the crisis impacts folks that especially have served veterans, and homeless veterans are making up a large number of folks who are in that category. What are the efforts that you're able to do, that the state's able to do to help homeless veterans? You're absolutely right. There was a big push to address veteran homelessness about 10, 12 years ago. Things were done. A lot of veterans were housed. As you know, across the Commonwealth, there still is a crisis when it comes to housing, irrespective of your veteran status. We here at the Executive Office of Veteran Services are committed to working with veterans, but not just providing them with a key or a place to live, but understanding that what they need are wraparound services. So working with nonprofit providers, supporting them to the tune of millions of dollars to make sure those wraparound services are there, that we're connecting with veterans, that we have outreach in place. That's what we're committed to doing.
There was a transition house in New Bedford that you recently attended that was opening. What kind of work are they doing there that you hope is a model for other places?
That is a prime example of what we need to be doing, what we need to be investing in. Again, those wraparound services. And down there in New Bedford, that's exactly what they're doing, along with the city and with a variety of nonprofit providers there. We support them. We support a variety of nonprofits doing the same work across the Commonwealth. It really is going to take a public and private partnership to get this done. And that's something that moving forward in the next couple months that our office is going to be dedicated to working on.
You all, Governor Healy set up the Veterans Equality Review Board really to help you do your jobs and also help LGBTQ veterans discharged under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. As far as you know, what has the response been from those veterans? Is this working the way it's been intended to?
Well, a big part of our office is to really engage with veterans across the entire Commonwealth, particularly those veterans who feel that they have been excluded from services or from benefits. In this case, as you said, the VERB, the Veterans Equality Review Board, does just that. If you were given a less than honorable discharge because of your sexual orientation, you suffer from MST, military sexual trauma, come back to us and let's see if we could rectify that to get you the benefits. Part of this new proposal you were referring to earlier, Sue, helps us broaden that the scope of the VERB, and we're excited about doing that moving forward.
One category of veterans who have expressed dismay in how they've been treated is women. And reports are coming out showing that women don't easily access the same benefits, even though they're available to them, that their male counterparts do. Are there any efforts that you're taking on that front to bring women into the fold more after they've served?
Absolutely. Let me just be very honest here. It wasn't just the homes that were challenging to address coming into this new office. There were a variety of other issues. One was addressing the lack of women engaged with this. There are thousands, tens of thousands of women veterans in the Commonwealth. Where are they and what can we be doing to support them? Our office has made a steadfast approach to making sure that we're reaching out to them, engaging them. And in fact, this past week, we put forth the Women's Veteran Advisory Commission that will be working with the governor to really identify pathways and solutions to find women, support them, and engage with them.
So I guess whether it's housing, mental health needs, job searches, things like that, you can have all the resources in the world available to veterans, but when it comes to them actually accessing those resources, are you happy with where the office is now? What other challenges are out there to making sure you all are playing that middleman, connecting the veterans with the resources and the services that they need?
Well, you just defined the main issue here. There are a host of services at the federal level, at the municipal level, and at the state level. The challenge, if you read any survey, any report on this, is connecting people to services. Now, we've made a strategic point to partner with institutions like the VA, hundreds of billions of dollars, hospitals here in the Commonwealth, and connecting veterans. Our first 90 days in office, we went to every county across the Commonwealth, engaging with veterans, nonprofit providers, and saying, we're here to work with you, to support you, and to connect you to services. How can we best support you? So that's what we intend to do. That's what we have been doing with the VA, with local cities and towns, and with the individual veteran. I mean, we've been everywhere. We've met thousands of veterans, and we're committed to doing so because we learn so much from engaging them. I'm a veteran myself, but when I'm speaking with veterans who may come from a different background, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, it educates me. And that's what we're committed to doing, and that's what this office is committed to doing.
One of the events that took place in Veterans Week is the Many Faces of Veterans exhibit that was at the State House and on the Veterans Services website. You helped set that up. What were you hoping for with this presentation?
We just wanted to send a message that if you serve this country, you sign the same document that I signed, irrespective of your background, your race, ethnicity, and that in this country, historically, we haven't always uplifted those folks as well. So we wanted to recognize them, let them know that they're just as important as any other member of our U.S. military. And that exhibit there, displaying their background, what inspired them to join service, is on display right now at the State House for this upcoming month.
All right. Secretary Jon Santiago, thank you so much for joining us. And again, thank you for your continued service. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That is it for this edition of At Issue, but please join us next Sunday when we sit down with Governor Maura Healey for a wide-ranging interview on all the challenges facing the Commonwealth and how our administration plans to deal with them. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Corey Smith.
And I'm Sue O'Connell. Enjoy your day.